In this apple slice, we will focus on read-aloud strategies that can be used with groups of children as well as one-on-one with individual children. We will discuss specific strategies for children with disabilities as well as for children who are multilingual learners. Reading aloud with children has several benefits, both academically and social-emotionally. Reading aloud helps children to develop a love of stories, develop their imagination, understand that print has meaning, and helps children develop empathy skills as they connect to the characters throughout the story. You can support these skills by reading with children in large groups, small groups, and individually. Keep in mind the following 2 DEC recommended practices from the instruction topic area. INS 4. Practitioners plan for and provide the level of support, accommodations, and adaptations needed for the child to access, participate, and learn within and across activities and routines. And INS 11. Practitioners provide instructional support for young children with disabilities who are dual language learners to assist them in learning English and in continuing to develop skills through the use of their home language. There are many strategies you can use to engage children with story time. When engaging in story time, it is helpful to use interactive strategies and encourage children to talk about the book as you are reading, rather than expecting them to passively listen to the story all the way through. Depending on the length of the story, that can be quite challenging for young children. Let's listen to Shayna Minimum, a PFA teacher from the Rantoul Early Childhood Program, as she shares some of her strategies with us as she reads to the whole class.
I use a wide variety of strategies to engage children during read-alouds. One thing I do is changing my voice, that enunciation, trying to draw them in or, bring it real quiet to, help them to listen more intensely. Other things I do is pointing out things in the book. I know one thing I found helpful too is like at the beginning of the year, making stories and taking pictures of kids and having the stories be about them and their favorite things and kind of carrying that over throughout the year has been helpful. And then learning that, print has meanings and, oh, I said this, and it's written down here. And then they have that excitement to read it to a peer.
Some children may need extra support during read-alouds to help them stay engaged with story time. Think about the materials you can offer, the proximity a child has to an adult or peer buddy, and adaptations you may need to make. Shayna shares some of the strategies she uses as she makes individual accommodations for the children who need them.
Ones that need extra support. There are a couple of things I do. One is providing that alternative seating, so whether they need a wiggle seat or a fidget, just to give them the movement in an appropriate way. I use that. I also allow them to go to a table that's close to our carpet, so that way, whether it's Play-Doh or another activity, their hands are busy, but yet they're still listening and they're able to comment on the story as well. I also have some kids sit closer or, with a teaching assistant in their lap just to kind of help meet their needs with that. And then sometimes I've used in the past too, where I give a student a copy of the book we're reading too, so that way they can turn along and listen along.
Children who are multilingual learners will benefit from some additional one-on-one strategies so that they can comprehend stories that are read in English. You can introduce new vocabulary in both languages, use visuals to help connect words or concepts in the story, and use visuals for children to use to communicate their thoughts and ideas. Let's hear how Shayna helps to connect stories to the child's home language prior to reading the books in English.
So children who are multilingual learners, I support them couple different ways. One, if I can get my hands on a book in their language, I read that in their language first, and then I reread the book in English. I also make sure to point to the different pictures so they're making those connections. And I'll try and get the words in their home language too and incorporate that in the story. And also making sure just to really isolate certain words that way, just to help them understand and help them, answer questions. And then peers are a good resource too for that.
It can be challenging to find time to read one on one with children. However, when we make that time, it provides us with the chance to individualize for children in order to meet them where they are, academically and emotionally. Let's listen as Shayna shares some of her strategies as she reads one on one with children.
Um, Quite a few different strategies when reading one on one with students. That way, depending on where they're at developmentally or academically, like whether it's, making sure to point to each word, and this is a period or this is a question mark, pointing that out, or asking, oh, can you spy a period, or can you spy the letter N that's in your name, kind of making more of those personal connections, or asking different questions. Some it's more basic level, oh, we just read about Pete the cat, find Pete the cat, or asking more emotional questions like, oh, how do you think Pete the cat is feeling, or some other times, pointing out, drawing in those bigger words like illustrator and author, you know, this person wrote the words, this person drew the pictures, tying that more in. Other times for students um, with disabilities or have a shorter attention span, sometimes I just paraphrase, and just kind of just look at the pictures and turn it quickly because I know they can't attend as for some books as long as others can.